All right. Hello, everybody. We're in the green room with Zuri Appleby tonight. Thank you for being here, Zuri.
So happy to be here. Thanks for having me, Jeff.
Okay, so I have your zuriappleby.com up underneath you. So if somebody wants to tune in
Oh,
and,
nice.
and see all about you, they can. And, I'm just going to start right off with this. When I was prepping myself to find out a little bit more about you, I instantly said to myself when I watched the TED Talks thing you did, and you talked about being a veteran and being in the Marine Corps and playing in the Marine Band and all of that. To me, all of a sudden, you the depth of your character came out, and I got, as J Lo would say, goosies, and
Aw.
uh, you know you have a whole lot more substance to you other than you just play bass great. And I listened to you tell your story and everything. And tell me a little bit about how you got into the Marine band and what that did for you in terms of developing discipline and everything that brought you to all of the gigs we're going to get to that you have recently done.
So, I kind of had in my mind uh, uh, early on that I wanted to be in the Marine Corps. My dad was in the Marine Corps, and I was kind of like just like a daddy's girl in that way, and was a tomboy, and just kind of wanted to just do it. I didn't know anything about what that represented, what that really meant. I just knew I wanted to do something hard, and whatever my dad did it, and that was kind of as much thought I put into it. And as I got older, the recruiters would come around, and I was like, "Yeah, Marine Corps, like, yeah, let's do it." And I wasn't really the most like book smart type person. I was more like hands on extracurricular. And so I was like, well, college isn't necessarily going to be where I thrive. Maybe I'll do this instead. So I decided to do that, and I wanted to continue music. So I did the audition when I was 16 at the time. And then I went in at 17, like 3 days after I graduated boot camp, or sorry, after I graduated high school. And I did the thing. And so in terms of how it established discipline, I mean, it was really, I'm thankful for the way that I was raised, because I guess my mindset going into it was, not really to take things so personally. And it was really just a way to level up, is just the way I looked at it. And taking some of those transferable skills like outside is was I don't know, some of the most important skills I've ever learned. I Being able to just do things, but a lot of it was some things because my dad was a Marine that I already kind of he represented it to me already. And so going through it in the Marine Corps just kind of put fire to my will to be able to like have that stick to itiveness to get things accomplished, which was probably the most beneficial part.
Mm. And you played in the band, in the Marine Corps band.
Yes.
What was that like? And what kind of uh, was it a pop band? Was it a big band? Was it what kind of a group was it?
So the Marine field bands basically are all types of different bands. I was in New Orleans, so that band had a large number of different small ensembles that could be put together out of the culmination of the full band. So we had concert band, that could be jazz band, that could be Dixieland band, that could be jazz ensemble, it could be, trumpet, woodwind ensemble. Um, it really just depended on the musical needs at the time, like for whatever event that we were performing. But anything from concert to jazz band to party band, because we had like a lot of generals where we would do like their parties. I mean, we were doing like, you know, I don't know, country and all type like Jimmy Buffett and like yeah. So it was a wide range of music.
And you had already learned a little bit how to read and play music and perform. So when you got there, that was not a challenge for you.
It was still a challenge. I mean, because the level of what I had to do was not anything I had seen. I mean,
Mm,
from high school, grade school, high school to Marine, it's basically college level. Um, you know, Masters probably. I don't know. I've never went to college,
mm,
so I don't. Well, I went a few years, but I don't know the equivalent. But it's like it's college level thing. So it was definitely a huge challenge. I was able to read. I mean, that's a requirement to be able to even be in the band. You have to already know how to read. You have to already be a certain proficiency level, and so it was, just a continuation. So it was definitely a challenge. I mean, it was a huge musical challenge, but it was a attainable challenge because it was, coming from something I already had a handle
mhm.
on.
Everybody that I've ever talked to that was in the service and played in any of the bands, they've always said they've had the greatest experience with the band and learning and growing, and the musicians. You had quite a, I'm guessing, a camaraderie between the musicians and getting through it for those 4 years. That's what I hear, that it's usually. Was it that way for you?
It was definitely that way for me for 3 years. It was the same band that I was with for 3 years after all the training, because that kind of, evolves. Those people that you start out with don't necessarily end up at your duty station, but um, I mean, we're out there, marching for hours. I mean, we had to do the Mardi Gras parades. I mean, we're out there, you know, crazy, like, 8 mile parades out there for 6, 7 hours in the sun. No, like, no bathroom breaks. I mean, with all these uniforms. I mean, dealing with people. It's just like being at any job, but it's just a little bit more intense. So, I mean, the camaraderie was definitely built. And then also just, the level of some of those players. I mean, I guess in any situation you have your star people in, but I would find some people that were just like really, really up there, amazing, amazing players. Just with the push of what the Marine Corps gave them to develop their skill, really just like, blossom them into this amazing thing. So it was just, a lot of camaraderie, just seeing people do what they do, seeing people care about what they do to that degree, seeing people understand the struggle.
Mm.
Being a woman, it was kind of different because there wasn't like a bunch of us. Um, but you just get gained the camaraderie with the people that are going to connect with you.
Yeah. So, out of curiosity, when I was a kid, and I had Ariel Belvalar in on this show a few weeks back, and
Love
I
her.
saw I saw a video of you playing bass with her, and
Yeah.
man, and I talked to her about this too. When I was a kid playing, the idea of a female musician was, oh, she plays okay for a girl. She's okay for a girl. That's
Hmm.
the thought. Did you run into any of that kind of stuff?
Uh, I ran into the idea that that would be the case, and like people would assume that that would be. They didn't know what would happen once they, you know, s- see me perform whatever I was doing. So yeah, I walked in, but I mean, from the audition until I got out, thankfully, I was at a skill level, and I had a mindset and a desire to get, be great, because I already knew that that would be part of what I was going to be dealing with,
Mm,
and I already kind of had that mindset in handling things out, before I got into Marine Corps, just being a smaller, like, skinny, light skinned girl, like, like, I felt like I had like to be able to be the best at whatever I was doing, just to let people know that, like, yeah, I can do this too, and I can probably do it better than you. And if I can't do it better than you, I can at least let you know I can do it to a degree that's worth being respected. And so when I got there, my like people knew I could play before I got there, because they're like, oh, there's this girl bass player that got like a great, score on the audition. She's coming there to do so. Luckily, and then some people were like, well, we'll see when we get here. But once they heard, then I'm not saying I'm the best, but it was enough for people to respect me, and they're like, okay, she's
right,
not just okay for a girl. Like, she cares about music, and
right,
she
right.
wants to learn this instrument and this music thing. And
Yeah, yeah. After you got through the Marines and you did all of that, and then to the video that I saw of you talking, was that a youth group you were talking about in your hometown?
It was
Was
a
that
college. It was a
college?
college class. That was the youth, was the fact that it was college students.
Okay. And that was in Buffalo.
It was Buffalo State College.
And after the Marines, for a few years, did you go back home, or what did you do?
So after I got out of the Marine Corps, I went home back to Buffalo, New York, where my first gig back was playing in church. I started playing up in church, and I started going to college because they provide the GI Bill, and it's kind of a way to provide housing allowance as well as if you don't spend all your housing allowance. Now I have a little money in my pocket. So, but I really wasn't a college person, so that didn't really go well. I got out of there with my acceptable GPA, and didn't I did 2 years, and I was like, okay, I'll hold on to the rest of this GI Bill if I'm ever in a crunch and need, to use this opportunity to like maybe have some extra money or something. Never went back. And I eventually started to pick up more gigs as I went. Really started out slow, but just word of mouth from the person in the church because he was connected with musicians in the city. People knew of my family and knew that I was back, so some people were willing to hear what I could do because a lot of people had no clue really my playing abilities at all. I mean, I left before I was really gigging in the scene,
Right.
so no one, they're just like, okay, I know Rodney Appleby, I know Linda, so I'll listen to her, and so and as that kind of just snowballed into more and more gigs.
And so now I want to jump right into how what led to the Nick Jonas gig. Was the Nick Jonas gig one of the first uh, big gigs that you got,
Oh
or were
yeah.
there some step stones?
Oh yeah. I mean, that's still arguably my biggest gig to date. Because yeah, so that was huge. It's literally just one of those stories that like it's got to be from a book. It's like, how did this happen? Like,
Yeah.
I was touring at the time locally, just like in a Sprinter,
Hmm.
um, you know, doing this with a local band. It was original music and a local band. So I'm like, all right, that's quality, right? It's original music. It's a local band. It was with some musicians I really enjoyed playing with, that I really thought were great players. And just scrolling Instagram, and I got a message. It's just like a picture of like a sea of people from behind stage. It's just like, hey, if you're interested in a gig, I have an opportunity. Please check your email. I didn't know who it was. I didn't know what the gig was or what. And I checked my email, and they, disclose that it's regarding opportunity for Nick Jonas. And I'm just like, what? Like, is this real? Like, this is like, what the heck? And they're like, yeah, we need an audition, like video, basically, like now. And it's like, I don't know how to do any of these things. And I'm still on the road. And I'm like, well, I won't even be back until whatever. Long story short, yeah, it was just like they Googled me while they were looking for a woman bassist. I guess in LA, they had exhausted all their opportunities looking for someone that was fitting what they wanted through all the auditions. And um, so they found me because all my mom's videos posting me from all my local gigs at on Allentown in
Really?
Buffalo, New York. I mean, that was definitely the reason that I had a presence online, which even was why they could search me and have content to connect to my name
Because of your mom?
because my mom's,
Yeah.
just always always at the gigs, posting and recording and taking clips and posting them. And so when they went to search female bassist, there was just a lot of stuff, and they're like, okay, well, who is this person? And listen to me, and whatever, the rest is history.
Yeah, I got to tell you, to me, it's kind of one of those God things,
Oh yeah, for sure.
It-
There's no explaining it.
and we were talking a little bit before about we attract that which we are, and you somehow were prepared as a person to be able to draw that to you, and that's just sort of my belief system. But the fact that you got that gig wasn't a coincidence. There was a actual reason and purpose for it to happen. And what a cool gig, because I don't know, just from what I see about him on TV, like on The Voice and things, he seems to be a really cool guy.
Oh,
Jim,
he's a quality person. I
yeah.
He really was quality. I mean, I can't complain about the guy at
Yeah.
all. And he always smelled great. And just, really just a mature young man, and just, lighthearted, focused, great, no complaints.
And the band, I'm guessing, was probably pretty rockin'.
Oh my gosh. I mean, I I was blown away by the musicians that I was blessed to be able to be working with on that gig. I met one of my best friends and one of the most amazing women musicians. Ariana Powell played guitar on that gig. Um, and then the drummer, Cedric Mitchell, who was he's just an amazing musician all around. And then the musical MD, Chase Foster, who was just like a little virtuoso in his own right, which does everything from programming visuals to violin to mastermind with keys. And I was just like, all right, like I'm here with some quality level. Like, I don't mean any disrespect with, I'm just saying, like, to have leveled up was just really, I felt so blessed.
That was a giant level up.
Yeah, it was a giant level up. I mean, just the intent, but the intentionality behind, not even just a skill level, like that included, but the intentionality behind the work getting done, and just the ethic,
Hmm.
the amount of care that everyone had to get it done, be
Hmm.
on time, just rehearse the music, simple stuff, but it's
Right.
not always the
What,
case.
after you auditioned and they accepted you, was there a amount of time that you needed to prepare for the gig, or did they just throw, okay, here's the gig, you're off?
Yeah, it was literally like I did a video. I stayed up all night. I recorded this video, not knowing what the heck I was doing. I sent it to the bass player, who was kind of like checking for me to see if, because he was kind of giving me, helping me out. And he was like, all right, do it over. I did it over. I had to do it over. Finally got it to him. They're like, all right, we need more dancing. All right. I said, did it again. And then they're like, all right, well, how soon can you fly out? They like got me on a first class ticket, which was not the norm. That was like really, really, that was not normally how things go. And I was like out within 24 hours,
Wow.
and I was out for rehearsals.
And you had to do some dancing a little bit.
I mean, there was some two stepping in there. there, we had a little, we had a little moment at one song, which was really cute. Where a collective moment, we got to me and the guitarist got to dance up stage with Nick, but no, not too much, nothing too
Yeah.
crazy.
So how long were you with Nick Jonas?
It was about a year to a year and a half. Yeah, I say a year and a half.
That's a good run.
It was. It was.
And I think that was a time when he hadn't been doing anything for a while, right? And this is when he was coming back with some of his original songs. Is that about the right time period of that?
Yeah, that sounds about right. His Jealous hit was like a year prior to me joining
Mhm.
him. So he had I mean, it was still, it's still a huge song, but it wasn't when that song was like just being released, but
Mm.
he was still kind of riding the wave of being his own solo artist, because Jealous was his breakout into being a solo artist.
Yeah, yeah. Then, so when that was kind of winding down, or during that, when did you end up in Los Angeles?
So, how long? Mm, not a year after that did I come. Yeah, it was maybe like 6-ish, 7 months or so, where I was kind of like, there, and I'm just like, a couple opportunities kind of came in. Like, I had an opportunity to connect with CeeLo, which was another crazy God thing. It was just like I got sent home with the Nick Jonas thing, and then like within 2 days, I got like an email just like regarding a CeeLo situation. I was like, what the heck,
What?
is this how things work?
Good.
But that was another situation, never quite became like a long-term thing. But yeah, so I was just like, wait, kind of seeing what was going to happen. And then I was like, I'm not going to just go back to local gigs. Like, I want to use this leg up to see, to work with other people that know I exist now that maybe didn't before.
Yeah, as I'm hearing you tell the story, and I'm thinking, if I'm trying to put myself in those shoes, I'm going, okay, I just had this great Nick Jonas. CeeLo just calls me. Do I want to go back home and just hang out in the look?
Yeah.
because it just feels like you keeping leveling up,
Yeah.
that to take yourself into that circle of people because they're calling you already.
Right. I was like, at least I was like, it didn't stick, but I was like, but they know I'm out here now. So
Right.
let me just get closer to where it's happening. And I really didn't want to live in New York because I didn't want to be cold anymore.
Oh man.
And I didn't, you know, I just felt like the rent cost and the cold combo was like, all right. It's like
Right.
either be really far or New York. And I was like, New York's closer, but it still seems like LA was what I wanted to try out.
Yeah, and those kind of acts that are touring and looking for you are mostly here.
Right, for sure.
So what happened when you finally moved here? And I know you had a few other kind of like a little CeeLo thing, and there were a couple of other little gigs until you got what was the one I wanted to ask you about? Oh, the Willow Smith, because my buddy across the street again was on some of her tours doing video. So
Okay.
I don't know whether you are a part of that or not, but what happened between CeeLo and Willow? That kind of
So yeah, I know, I know, I
normal,
know, right? Craziness, I know. What a life.
right?
So from there, when I got to LA, it was that was a whole experience in of itself within the first year. But after my first year of being here, maybe yeah, 6 months of being in LA to a year, I got my first gig, which with an art independent, well, not independent, an indie artist named Nombe, who was doing like a lot of festival stuff and a lot of a bunch of festivals and out of town shows and a lot of like co-headlining or opening up for some really cool indie acts and some really cool acts that had sizable followings. So I was like, okay, all right, we'll do this. And that was a really good experience for maybe 2 years. I was working with him as well as working with, who did I work with after that? Brent Fayez. I did an audition and I'm still working with him on and off, who um, is a R&B hip hop artist. Pretty big following for like he's a radio-ish person.
Mm,
Like so, Nombe was like more serious radio, and then Brent Fires is like radio. And it's like, okay, cool, this is awesome, and did that for a while. I also was with Party Next Door for a while, who's a huge rapper singer out of Toronto. That's um, basically kind of under the umbrella of Drake. So
mm.
that was a really huge thing to be a part of. He was on the tour with Halsey. Um, so it was like another stadium situation. So that was even another level up from the
Yeah,
indie artist. And then I was like, okay, radio artist, and now it was like big radio artist. And that kind of was short lived, through some drama that kind of went down. That happens, but it's like you never know what the situation is until you're actually in it.
right.
And then from there, I began working with an artist named Yuna, who um, is a Malaysian vocalist. She's like a pop indie artist, who's worked with artists from like Janae Aiko, and she's got some radio hits as well. So, and she was doing her own headlining tour. So that was a good 2 years with that.
So let
So
me ask you about Yuna. Is she's giant in Malaysia,
yeah, she's
right?
like, yeah,
And not necessarily known here that much, but it, did you get to do tours with her over in Malaysia and Asia and down around there?
I did do I did a festival in Malaysia with her,
What
which
was that?
was I've never, I mean, the amount of love I felt, like you could just feel that hometown love in such a mass,
Mm,
degree. It's kind of a different feeling from the immense fans, like a Nick Jonas feeling, where it's just like this intense
right.
hyper, like, and then like the unit was like mass amount of people, but it was just like we love you. It was just like more like Selena. It was like Selena, like, like
Right.
Beyonce, like, we love you. Like, and it was
And
just so beautiful to witness because she's such a genuine, beautiful soul. So just to see how that connected with people that resonated with that same heart was really, it was beautiful.
yeah, so I know, and so I'm looking through on your, like I said, told you before on your website a little bit.
Yeah.
So Una came before the Willow Smith. You're the musical. Are you still doing the musical director for Willow Smith?
I'm not that was like basically uh, how would I word it? I was like subbing as MD for
Oh,
someone.
oh,
So there was a bassist that they had, Elin, and she still is. Eh, You can even backtrack. It's kind of crazy, but I had got asked to do the Willow Smith gig before that bassist had got put on it, but I was unable to because I was already had some dates with Una that I had already solidified. So I was unable, so it was crazy that it came back around. It was crazy. And so that came back around through some 6 degrees of separation, like some Toronto artists that I know. And so the MD, the overseer for the musical production was from Toronto, and so he reached out to me to do it, and yeah.
that they. What kind of tours was, because when my friend Jonathan was doing he did a Canada run, and I forget where he all went, but he said that he had there was a pretty big following for Willow Smith, and they were pretty good gigs. I don't know, I'm not really aware of the music, but Jonathan was saying no, they were really great.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I had no clue. I had no clue. Like, I knew that they did music, but like Jaden, it's just like was a little bit younger for what I was listening to, so I didn't realize the mass of his following, and
Yeah.
and then I didn't even know how amazing Willow's music was. And so I was blown away. Like, the music was really amazing. Their skills were actually really quality, like, blew me away. Like, I almost felt like the judgmental musician, like, all right, well, let's see what's actually going to happen here. Like in the back of your head, I'm just kind of like, I don't know. Like, I was like, I have no clue what to
Right.
expect. And it was actually like very good. Like, she's amazing
Yeah.
vocalist. Like, her songs are beyond like her age. Like, it's just really quality. I was is one of my favorite gigs to date, for
Wow.
sure.
Yeah, and I hate to sometimes as a musician know some people, and then I hear about someone like that and know nothing about them.
Yeah, I know. I felt awful, but it's exciting to learn, and it also
Right.
takes away like a little bit of the, I don't know, the pressure of when I meet them, of like, having put them on this grand pedestal, because I don't know. I'm like, hi, meeting for the first time, starting from a blank page.
Right. So I'll just share my recent experience, and it was awful because of the way I viewed the musicians. So I've been able to work and meet a lot of musicians that are amazing, and meet like uh, Earth, Wind, and Fire people that I grew up loving,
Oh yeah.
and yet I had no feelings about them because I wasn't necessarily a fan, and I could just talk with them like they're
Mm.
everybody. But then I got a call to do monitors for Tower of Power, and I held them in such regard that I could barely function because I was like, oh, I was such a fan, I couldn't,
Yeah.
you know. But anybody else, I'm like, yeah, who are you again?
Right, right, right. It's fine. Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy how that happens.
Right. So I want to get to so then you were doing Una, and now it seems like when I'm looking at your thing, you were doing Willow, you're doing Una, and then you've got Adam Lambert.
Yep.
What, what,
You're like, when did this happen? I know.
what, what? And you had a bunch of stuff with Adam Lambert, and you were supposed to be doing something right now. Is that
I
correct?
sure was. Yeah, I sure was. We had a whole year planned out, basically. Like I was gonna basically get back from Lizzo, and that day I was gonna start with Adam, and then pretty much just be on and off for the rest of the year with him. Yeah.
So I'm looking at your last year,
Hmm.
and in 2019.
Hmm.
I'm looking Nombe, did I say that right?
Yes.
You're doing Nombe, you're doing Una, you're doing Adam Lambert, you're doing Willow, you're doing then you get the Lizzo gig, and the stuff you're doing here, it's kind of nonstop, and you're like the woman in town to call. Okay, you need a bass player, call Zuri.
uh, I'm glad. I'm glad. I'm glad because it
Right?
doesn't always feel like that. I mean, there's chunks. I know it. Like we were briefly speaking earlier. I know to the public, and it does feel like that once the work is there. But when it's those little in between, it might be a 2 weeks in between. But it's like I don't know when things are gonna, come through. When one thing ends, I don't always know. So I'm glad that it's like okay, Zuri's the call because I don't always know where the call's coming from
Right.
most
Well,
of the time.
I think sometimes, and you're a confident young woman, and you've got skills, and you have a faith, and you're a pretty strong person. But I think from one perspective, a lot of people don't really understand what it's like in our industry, where you're doing a Lizzo gig and doing Adam Lambert, and then in between you're sitting there and saying, "Oh, okay, now what?" There's a lot of times in our industry, no matter how much work and how big the artist might be, in which there's uncertainty
Yeah.
that we sometimes have to deal with. And it right now, for example,
Yeah.
so I think if I'm talking to my folks back home, they're going, "Oh man, you're great. You're doing so great. You're doing that, and you're doing."
Right, right, right.
And then you're sitting in your apartment going, "Hmm, okay, now what? Now what? Do I go get pork and beans, or do I go?"
I know it can be like that. Oh my gosh.
But
Yeah.
but you have an assortment of things that you have going on just around town, and on
Yeah.
some of the local gigs. I wanted to ask you about this band, the Pink. What's that band?
Jazz and Pink,
Yeah, the Funk Dolls
the
and
Funk Dolls.
Jazz in Pink.
Jazz and Pink.
Wh-
So those are so we'll start with Jazz and Pink. Jazz and Pink is an amazing collaboration of women musicians who are just top notch, prestigious at what they do. There's keys, drums, there's saxophone, there's vocalists, even a harp player who blow your mind. A violinist who will absolutely shred you to pieces. It's just like they're just like, and it's like they do nothing is just any straight. If there anything that it's covered, it's arranged and it's all self arranged by the Gail, who's the woman that has put the group together, and but the majority of it's original music, and it's just like amazing to see them put together such intricate, like it's charts, and it's parts, and it's a lot of material, and it's not easy material, and it's original, and it's these women just doing it on a large scale, from from conferences to colleges to private events, and it's just like you're doing this for a living. You're a real jazz, like who does that anymore? Like it's like a real jazz musician. Like
Right.
you're writing charts and giving them to your band members, and then like actually getting paid well, like so they're absolutely amazing. I sub for them whenever I can because they have an amazing basis already, because they've been in effect for 10 plus years. So, um, yeah, I sub for them when I can.
And this is one thing that I also was talking about with Ariel, is the amount of talented women in Los Angeles right now that can play,
Oh,
that
yeah.
can really play.
Yeah.
And right now seems to be a really good time for women musicians. Um, I'm, if I look back, I'm like we said, I'm a little older. Back when I first moved to Los Angeles and or came to California in 1980, there were no women that I knew of. There are a few, but right now there seems to be a lot of really talented young women.
Yeah, I didn't know there were so many of us out here. Like I really didn't know that there was so many women doing what they're doing because I just kind of I'm a person where if I'll come in contact with you or if I hear about something, then I know about it, but I'm not necessarily like looking just to find who are the women musicians. I don't know if I should feel guilty for that, but I was never that way.
Right.
And I was really blown away to find out, like when I got here, just how many really quality musicians there are that are women.
There's a lot, but
Yeah.
I just thought of something else that I wanted to ask you about because I've seen I don't know how many different hairdos.
I knew this is
It-
the next
oh,
one.
I mean, I have, it's I can't even count, and I almost wanted to make a little like a some sort of like spin all
Oh, I
these
would
different
love that.
hairdos.
I need to do that.
You should do a little
That's a good
reel,
idea.
just a reel of all your different hairdos and haircuts. And I do want to ask you. So I do have a couple of pictures. I'm going to
Okay.
put up, and this is the one that I think I'm going to make this the one that I like the most is you're holding your bass and you're in silver
Oh, I know the one.
and you've got giant
Oh
giant
yeah, the huge
hair.
afro.
what
Yeah,
what
that was that was a specific photo shoot that I was modeling for an amazing photographer from Buffalo named Cheryl Gorski, and it was a series called Going Up. So they were all in elevators. It was basically
hmm,
an fancy, all different elevators. And so she just wanted to do like a really futuristic, just came from my show on my way up back to my hotel room or, type just photo shoot look. But yeah, so that was her idea to do the wig and she was like, why don't you grab your bass and I was like, all right, well, I got some funky shorts and I got these platforms, let's do it.
well, that's really cool. So, and then I've got this other picture that I downloaded. I just downloaded a few, and I just like this one for some reason, and I'm not because it is you're in pink hair. You almost look like you've got a what do you call that? The
Mhm.
a pillbox hat kind of
Mhm.
pink hair. You look like a flight attendant,
Oh, totally. I get that. Yeah, that I
right?
know which one you're talking about. So yeah, that was another opportunity when I was modeling in Buffalo. For it was a series that it was like future meets now or the future is now. And it was just like all mod different vibes type photo shoot. So yeah, that was extremely fun. Another like that wasn't my look preference. Like this is like, all right, we're doing this for for the look, for the
Right.
photo shoot. I'm happy to do it.
Tell me about your modeling career. You did. Are you still doing some of that?
I have not since I've been in LA. I don't know that I really connected with as many people that are doing that, and a lot of the people that are doing that here tend to be like, they're going to charge me, but I'm not asking them to take them, and like when it was this situation, they asked me to model, I get professional pictures to trade off,
Mm,
and it's, I'm happy to do it that way. Um, but I'm not like, and there's so many professional models here. So
right.
why
Yeah.
not? I don't mean to downplay myself, but I don't put myself out there for that. And at the same time, it's like there's so many actual models here.
Right. So then I wanted to ask you about this picture, and you are jumping. You're in pink and jumping in a pink thing around a bunch of big pink crayons.
Oh, okay. So yeah, that was uh 2 years ago, Christmas time. It's called Fun Box, and I don't know if you've heard of it, but it's basically like a place that you go with your family, or your friends or whoever, and it just has all these different like crazy rooms that you walk through, and the rooms are just like decorated with anything from like a whole room made out of like teddy bears to like a room that's like upside down to like a room that's, I don't know, it's all different weird themes, and it's basically just a place to like, it's cool to be inside, but you also take fun pictures and like have little memories. So it was like a little Christmas idea I did with my mom and sister. So it was the last thing was that pool of crayons,
Oh,
or it was like was it cereal? Wasn't that?
uh,
Or
what you're jumping in?
yeah,
What?
what I'm jumping in, because there was when we jumped in some cereal. It's like fake. Uh,
Yeah, I can't really tell.
yeah, it's all, yeah, but it was this
Hey,
place called Fun Box. It was really fun.
you're pretty close to your family.
I definitely love my family so much.
Yeah.
I wish we were closer in space, because they're all the way, we're in Buffalo, but
Yeah. Okay, so I want to play this video now just in case somebody wants to, we've been talking about all this great bass uh, gigs you've been doing, and I said I wanted to play this, and the music will sound good, but the video won't necessarily match the music, but I think I want to show this because I love this thing you did. Was this a couple of weeks ago in your house there, right?
oh yeah, oh this one,
Little
sure.
Dragon, Little Dragon, Hold On bass cover.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna pull that up and give me a second. And this I here we go. Now, there we go.
We got nothing but time.
Hold on, where you going? Where you going? Hold on, where you going? Where you going? Baby, stay. Time has changed us so in every way. Beyond our dreams and more. The stars are not aligned. Let's hit the well another million times. Hold on, sun reflect every side of you and better yet. But you never knew. Let's break a million times. Reflections in the light. Hold on, where you going? Where you going? Hold on, where you going? Where you going? In the life we live, many lives go astray so many times. Farewell in a million, broken hearts in the billions. Always real, no regrets, so the pain will heal. Please accept I was standing still. I wish you happiness, joy, good fortune, boy. Hold on before you go. One thing that you should know, I never meant to hurt you so. I wish you happiness, joy, good fortune, boy. Hold
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah, fun little jam.
That was fun. So, uh, have you been doing some of these live streams um, from your home and doing this kind of thing a lot?
I did my first live stream this Sunday. Um, it was called Blues for Veterans. It's like a little Buffalo live stream thing that they do on Sundays.
Hmm.
Um, Being that I'm a bass player, I kind of felt like, how do I, how do I live stream? I mean,
Yeah.
because a lot of what I do doesn't necessarily translate when it's by itself isolated. When it's,
Right.
I know like, piano can sound like a song without, and the guitar can sound like a song, but it's kind of like not what people's ears really hear as a complete song with just the bass and the vocals. But I did my best to kind of do that type of situation on Sunday, and it was actually pretty fun and a different sound. And so yeah, I think I'm gonna do it again. I have a I live stream coming up. I don't know what day we want to do it, but me and that guitarist Ariana that I told you about that played
Mhm.
with Nick Jonas, we want to do a little live stream because we just have some acoustic stuff. So it'd be nice to do like bass and guitar, like we can do this little
Right.
bass and guitar, and then that would sound enough like something where it'd
Right.
probably be easier on people's ears to
Are you
make
going to
sense of
try to
it.
Are you going to try to do it from remote locations?
Yeah, well, no, she can. We've both been self quarantining,
Mhm.
so we can just 6 feet apart. We went for a jog together the other day, so I
Yeah.
think we're okay.
Yeah. I'm went over to this lady's house that has a Sunday service, and she has musicians and stuff come over, and they sit 6 feet apart, and
Hmm.
so I think that's a good idea,
Yeah,
and do a donation. Do donate, put your Venmo, put your PayPal,
yeah,
all that stuff up. That's what
yeah.
everybody's doing.
I know, and I shouldn't let my any pride get in the way because I'm just like I didn't want to seem too grabby with it, like oh please throw money at me, like I don't know what's going on in the world. It's like no one does, but I mean, but if someone's happy to donate, I am happy to receive.
Right.
So nothing wrong with that.
I see other people do it fearlessly,
Oh
and
yeah, they do.
they're like, "Yeah, give me some money," and then I've been reluctant to do it until somebody said, "No, you need to do it because you're putting your time in, and we aren't working, we don't have an income,
Right.
um, and we're that gigging community, so why not? And who knows how long this will last? So
I
you need
know.
to develop something, huh?"
I know. I'm thinking of probably doing like a weekly, you know, like
Yeah.
have just a weekly. I think that's low pressure and enough for something to kind of have people to look forward to.
And you do a different hairdo every time.
I know, right? I better get some wigs ordered.
Right. I have, from some of the shows I've done, I you were never in any of them, but I have a bunch of wigs in my garage.
Oh, do you have
I
fun?
have a ton of them,
That's fun.
including cats, some costumes that I had cats from the real cat costume,
Ah!
like from Broadway, that kind of a thing.
Yeah, I'm a huge
I
cat person,
almost
so.
I almost brought one in to put it on for you
Ah!
tonight.
That's funny.
Yeah.
I like that idea. I'm gonna find a clever way to do something like that. That's
Yeah.
fun. That's good.
So somebody reminded me or was telling me a lot about TikTok today.
Hmm.
Do you do any TikTok stuff? What is that?
Uh,
Do you?
the kids. I can't. I can't. I'm such like I'm really such an old soul. I don't like. I'm aware of it. It's just to me. I guess I just don't want to spend my time learning that because it's
Mm,
just like a video editing app and it's fun, but I'm like, I don't know, maybe I'm just at that age where I'm just like, I would love to spend my time like doing something that makes me feel a little bit more like I'm doing valuable with my time. And if I'm gonna waste my time, I don't want to like waste my time working because that's like effort. It's like you have to learn how to like use this thing, and it's like I'm gonna get frustrated, like oh, forget
right.
this.
It, and I struggle with Instagram.
right?
So,
So like,
so, so why would I even try TikTok?
yeah, it's like I would have to be like really, really bored and like in the mood to like, it's almost like probably like a puzzle at that point, like to
Right?
me. But
Uh,
yeah, I see it. I have an account, but I haven't done anything cool with it. So
yeah, I won't ever even, not even try. You know, um, are you writing any songs? Are you a songwriter?
I guess I should say yes. I'm gonna say
Okay.
yes. I'm a songwriter. I'm gonna claim that title because I've never really put anything out, but I've written stuff and just stuff, just soul nourishing, just kind of release of emotions or whatever was necessary.
Mhm.
And but now I'm actually writing to, yes, do that, but also have it be shared with some people. And
Mm.
I was actually thinking to do, my idea of it um is to have like a vocal and just bass, just vocals and bass, and just kind of like an acoustic type vibe like that, which I was just saying how no one really is familiar with it. But I think that just the way that music is kind of evolving to, people will really accept whatever feels good at this point, and it doesn't have to have a whole structure of a thing. It just has to resonate with the people. So I was thinking of even having just like a short, like, minute songs, like, Instagram length, like, so people
So
can really get it,
so if
digest
you
it.
picked up if you picked up that little bass right next to you
Yeah.
and played a little thing and sang, that would give me an example of what that would be like.
Let's see if um,
And again, what is this? This is
this is the bass uke.
a bass.
Uh, yeah, so it's like a ukulele bass.
Yeah. Okay.
Can you even really hear it?
Yeah. It's better than you think.
Okay. Well, she's walking through the clouds with a circus mind that's running round. Butterflies and zebras and moonbeams and fairy tales. All she thinks of, riding with the wind. When I'm sad, she comes to me with 1,000 smiles, each one for me. It's alright, and it's alright. Take anything you want from me. Anything. Fly on, oh little wing.
That was, you know what? I didn't know you had such a beautiful voice.
Oh, thanks. I'm still raspy right now, but thank you.
What it works for me. I like a little bit of that airy, raspy sound. Sometimes it just adds some soul to it a little bit, if you know what I mean.
Put some life on it, some life on that voice.
Man, no, that's good. See, you could do a little minute of that and just like every 5 minutes.
Yeah. Oh, every 5 minutes. Yeah, right. I know. Just can just tap out, tap in. Yeah.
Yeah, no, but that would be cool. You could do like at the same time every day, do a little thing.
Oh, I love that. Thanks for the ideas. I need this. Look, it's like I'm the musician and I still don't have enough creative ideas. It's like
Oh
I
man,
don't know
no,
what to do with
no,
so thank you for sharing that idea.
Well, I'm here to give you a little kick in the pants.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
No, because you sound so good, and that's in many ways that's a really unique thing that you're doing with the bass. And my daughter schooled me. She goes, "Dad, it's not a ukulele, it's an ukulele."
Oh, pardon me. She's
Ukulele,
right. She's very right.
right?
Just
But we still say ukulele because people don't understand. They don't understand what's an
I
ukulele.
know ukulele. Yeah.
Yeah, ukulele. Yeah, that
Yeah.
lele is there too. Um, but it's such a unique little thing, and people will go, "What is that? What
Yeah.
is that thing she's?" It's almost like when Cajones first came out.
Oh
I got a
yeah,
Cajon.
yeah. Oh, do you? Those are great.
I know I got a Cajon sitting right here.
Love
I should have
those.
drummed along.
Joined me. Yeah. Yeah, I love those. Yeah, I love
Yeah,
those. But yeah, I think it might work.
yeah. There you go. So from this, you're going to bust out and do a little thing, on Sunday morning or Saturday afternoon,
Yeah.
tea time with Zuri or
I
uh,
love that.
something, and you'll do a little thing, and you'll put a hair, you diff, do a different little
I,
hair
lo-
every time,
I can do that.
and
You're cracking me up.
it it works. It works.
I love it. No, really mean that. That's quality idea. Seriously.
Well, and here's what I you actually have a really fun personality, and even though this interview may not uh, display the lightheartedness about you, I know that it's in you, and you so easily could put on a hair and come out and do a little thing, and people would love it,
That's funny. Okay, I like this. All
right?
right. All right. I'm gonna take
Right.
this and run with it.
Okay, so between now and the time you go back out with if Nick Jonas tours on his own again, go and Lizzo, when Lizzo comes back
Yes.
and does her thing, and Willow keeps going, and Adam will bring the
Yes.
Venetian gig back,
Oh yes. Can't
right?
wait.
Now, was that going to be a residency? One of
It
those
was turning into that. Yeah, it was
really?
definitely for the time, like for this season, it was going to be a residency. Like I don't
Mm,
know if how long the contracts for residencies really apply, but it was going to be a few months.
right. And those are great gigs. Anybody that's done them, they're really great gigs.
Oh yeah, I'm excited for when it's going to happen because I know it will.
Yeah.
When things kind of clear up.
Well, the mayor in Las Vegas is really wanting to get it opening back up, so maybe it'll happen sooner than you think.
This is true. This is true. Scary as that seems.
So, I'm going to do something rather silly to take us out. We're coming up on our hour,
Okay.
and thank you, Zuri, for spending this time with me and just having a talk in the green room as if we were getting ready for a gig. I just
I
asked
love it.
questions. And, um, what about if I play this? I kind of like that Adam Lambert song, that new one that just come out. Uh, what is it?
Superpower.
Superpower.
Oh yeah, that's a funky song, right?
Okay. Yes,
That's
yes,
that's a
yes.
good one.
So let me find that again. Uh, I think I found it off of your website.
Yeah, we did a little
It
a few
tuned into.
recordings.
Okay, so let me pull this up, and it'll take me a second because
No
my
problem.
my here's the other thing that's happened to us is uh, the internet has decided it wants to work really slow
Yeah.
different times of the day because everybody in the neighborhood is on it.
The whole yeah, everyone and their mother and their
Everyone.
cousin.
Okay, so Adam Lambert's Superpower live session, is that the one I should play?
Yeah, that's the one.
Okay, let me get this. Let me open this up, and I'll close out the show with this. Oh, hold on. Oh, at some point when I can get somebody that will risk coming over here and sitting next to me and be my tech that can do all this
I
switching.
know. You're doing a great job. This one man show is doing exactly what it needs to do.
Well, thank you. I've learned that, there's lots of aspects to doing this kind of live TV.
Right, I know. Well, thank you for doing this live TV and thank you for having me. I mean, I'm really honored that you even thought of me to
Well,
ask me questions and share anything about me. Thank you.
I gotta tell you, I've thought about it for a long time, but I was a little hesitant. I'm kind of like, no, Zuri doesn't want to talk to me.
Oh, stop. So your
So
surprise. I'm happy
okay,
to talk
yes,
to you.
I've been happy to have you. Now I have it ready to go. So I'm going to solo it up, and we'll close out with this Adam Lambert song. Okay.
Awesome. Thank you
All
so
right.
much,
Thanks,
Jeff.
Zuri.
And I got something to say. Oh yeah. All of the witches and the demons better get out my way. Hey, hey, yeah. I get back up when I fall. Rip the paint from the wall. When I win, I'm alright. Take the money. Try to put me in a box. Make me something I'm not. Don't give a fuck, cause I'm gonna take back my superpower. My superpower. My superpower. My superpower. My superpower. My superpower. I know I'm not the only one who thinks this shit ain't okay. Oh no, you kick us down in the dirt, but we ain't going away. Hey, hey, yeah. I get back up when I fall, rip the paint from the wall. When I win, I'm alright. Take the money, try to put me in a box, make me something I'm not. Don't give a fuck, cause I'm gonna take back my superpower, my superpower, my superpower, my superpower, my superpower, my superpower.